It is hard to conceive of a quicker or more self-destructive blow to our nation's credibility and leadership, not only with respect to this one issue, but I'm telling you across the board.
Secretary of State John Kerry trying to make the case for the Iran nuclear agreement to undecided lawmakers. As of right now, President Obama is claiming that he's secured just enough votes to override a potential veto, but there is plenty of opposition, and our lawmakers have until September 17th to vote on a resolution that would weaken the deal by getting rid of the president's ability to temporarily waive many American sanctions on Iran. But what will happen on Capitol Hill? For more, let's welcome in from Newsmax Washington, retired U.S. Army Colonel Patrick Murray. Patrick's also the author of the book, Government is the Problem. Patrick, we really appreciate your time here on Newsmax Prime. We should note that Secretary of State Kerry sent a letter to all lawmakers trying to defend the agreement, and in this letter, he admits that despite the deal, Iran will continue to back terror groups across the map around the globe. Isn't that enough for lawmakers to say, no, thank you, we're not going to vote for this thing?
Well, thanks for having me on, J.D. Look, that's exactly right. I think this is clear and simple, a case of Democrat senators choosing party loyalty and their desire to burnish their president's legacy over U.S. national security and global security as well. I mean, there is nothing viable about this deal. We've been through it, from verification and compliance to possible military dimensions to the fact that Iran gets to self-inspect themselves and then send the results to the IAEA. And that's why I join with the over 200 retired United States military general officers who have sent an open letter to Congress saying this is a bad deal. Unfortunately, the Democrats chose to ignore that.
Let's turn to a comment that was made here on this program, actually on Newsmax TV last night. It comes from former Vice President Dick Cheney. Here is his take on the Iranian agreement. We'll listen to it, then I'd like to get your reaction afterwards.
All of our friends and allies in that part of the world are appalled at what happened, but they also feel directly threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. I think the deal is, from my perspective, the only way to interpret it, and what his motives were, was he really wanted to boost Iran's position in that part of the world and make them the dominant force at the expense of our allies.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, that's exactly right, and that's why the whole issue of a nuclear arms race in the Middle East, that train is leaving the station, J.D. Russia has quietly cut deals with Saudi Arabia, with Jordan, with Egypt. These Sunni Muslim countries are not going to stand by and watch Shia Persian Iran get a nuclear weapon. So a region, as Vice President Cheney points out, that's already highly unstable just got a whole lot worse.
The Obama administration says it plans to give an additional $3 billion in aid to Israel so the Israelis can secure their missile defense systems following this agreement. Do you think that is going to stop Iran from possibly attacking Israel?
Of course not. We've been giving Israel a lot of money every year for decades, and to up that, Iran has no problem with that. When you look at the weaponry, the missiles, just the sheer number of missiles that Hezbollah and Hamas have that are totally pointed into the entire state of Israel, they have no concerns about that, and they just pointed that out from their military leadership today, saying we have no concerns about dealing with the Americans, much less the Israelis. Death to Israel, death to America. Guess what, J.D.? The enemy gets a vote, and they're telling us what they intend to do. This deal helps them do that.
And speaking of just what has transpired for our national security in terms of geopolitics, the Chinese had 5 of their Navy ships operating in the Bering Sea off the coast of Alaska, marking the first time our military has seen the Chinese in that area. President Obama, of course, just concluding his trip to China. Are the Chinese basically trying to rub our nose in it?
Without question. This reminds me, J.D., of the July 4th call that President Putin made to congratulate President Obama on our Independence Day. And at the very time he made that call, Russian Bear bombers were flying off the west coast of California, right? And so the Chinese timed this just when President Obama was up in Alaska. They are predators. They sense weakness in our White House, and they're taking advantage of it.
You mentioned timing. Just a fact of timing that our time together is over. Patrick Murray, we thank you for your insights and analysis. Patrick, of course, the author of the book, Government is the Problem. So you heard what Patrick had to say. Do you agree or you have other thoughts? Send your comments to me at newsmaxtv.com/comments. We'll be right back.